เป็นช่วงที่หลายๆคนรอคอยเลยนะคะขอเรียนเชิญทุกท่านพบกับการอภิปรายค่ะในหัวข้อสู่ความเป็นพลเมืองอาเซียนด้วยหนังสือและการอ่านนะคะเราปรบมือต้อนรับทั้ง5ท่านบนเวทีเลยค่ะ
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Charat Thomya, going to be moderator for the topic panel discussion towards ASEAN citizenship with books and reading. As all the speakers I introduced to you, and you may listen to their presentation in the past 2 days, we have a very interesting speaker that's going to share their experience with you today about the situation of reading in each country and the way forward to be the ASEAN community in 3 years. So I'm going to start with the question. We don't want to waste the time because we think that we have a lot of topics to discuss on this panel today. Well, I think that in the past 2 days, maybe you listen to the situation of the promoting reading in each country already, but today we want to sum up a bit for the different audience that haven't joined this conference yesterday to see the big picture of each country about the promoting reading. So let's start at Dr. Thant Thaw Kaung from Myanmar about the situation about promoting reading in Myanmar. Please, Dr. Thant.
Thank you very much. Yes, yesterday I have represented already, but I will elaborate more. After hearing from our colleagues, we learned that we have many common problems. Plus, in Myanmar case, we are doing a lot of the reading promotion, but we still have a lot of challenges. I did mention a lot of challenges that we are facing. So some of the challenges are like the development of the ICT. So our kids are spending their times more on the cyber cafes, doing internet games, this I mentioned that. Also, especially our country, we have another problem, which is poverty. And also another challenge that we are having is this, the salary of the teachers, which is very low. So we need to improve all these. So a lot of things we are facing challenges, but we are quite optimistic that the governments at the moment is really open and very flexible. They are willing to make changes. So this is one thing very good, especially Ministry of Information and Ministry of Education. They are doing a lot of drastic changes. The budget has been increased. And for the higher education level also, 1 more year has been introduced from 3 years to 4 years. So there are a lot of drastic changes, and hopefully in the near future, we will have more positive changes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Thant. I think that is a good. This period of time is a really exciting moment for Myanmar, because Myanmar right now, as you know, that they open more to the international community right now, and I went to Myanmar 2 weeks ago, and then I feel it is really exciting moment for Myanmar, and then going to be a lot of change within the countries. So we go to the next country, our neighboring country, Cambodia. Mr. Kall Kann, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for have this chance again to share with you about the reading in Cambodia. As I mentioned yesterday, there was challenging because, although Cambodians have the long history, we are the one nation which has have a long culture and history, but the situation for the last 3-4 decades, bringing Cambodians to a situation where it starts from scratch. Today, we have a lot of challenge with reading, and especially we have lack of resources, and also the resources both from the financial and humans, but the government have accepted there were challenge, but also willing to improve. They have worked a lot on the policy side, despite they have the problem with funding. So which is an opportunity for us as international NGO to mobilize resources. Because sometimes you have resources, But without commitment and willingness to change from the government and accept that this is a problem, that are the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kall. So the next we go to Brunei. Miss Nellie, maybe you have a different situation there. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, yesterday I mentioned that in Brunei we're thankful. There is a very positive move because reading has been made into a national agenda, which is something that we all applaud, and we really look forward to this. And also because the Prime Minister's office is also coming into the picture now, so we are, we are very optimistic about this new development. So as I mentioned yesterday, reading is a society's responsibility. All agencies should work together, all hands on deck, so to say. So again, yesterday I mentioned that agencies like Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka, Prime Minister's Office, the Sultan Haji Hassanal Bolkiah Foundation, schools, NGOs, online community are all working towards promoting reading and ensuring that reading is sustained in society. Yeah, I think that's my summing up here.
Thank you, Ms. Nellie. So next we're going to go to Dr. Prasad. The Singaporean love reading. Do you still have any challenge to promote reading in the country?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that in Singapore we have been reasonably fortunate in that in the late 1980s, around 1989, 1990, we were very fortunate to have a very far-sighted minister in charge of libraries. And he realized that if the whole nation is going to move towards a knowledge-based economy and a knowledge-based society, then we have to upgrade the libraries and make the libraries a focal point of community life in Singapore. So we developed the Library 2000 plan in 1990. So it was 10 years of very good promotion and investment in libraries and making libraries a fun place for young people to go. Then in year 2001, we came up with the Library 2010 plan, which is to bring the libraries online, to bring more digital resources online. So in that sense, we've had about a 20-year head start to get people to read. And it has given us a very strong foundation on which to grow the reading culture. The National Library Board has been given the responsibility of promoting reading. So in a way, it is a central agency. The other agency that is very important is, of course, the Ministry of Education and all the schools. So now the NLB and the schools are working very closely together. In fact, at one time, the National Library Board used to run the school libraries as well, but that's no longer the case. So now we work very closely. So through a series of activities and campaigns and government support, we have reached a fairly high level of improvement in reading habits. However, I think going into the future, we do notice that young people, professionals, are very much changing their reading habits. They are moving to the digital domain, and therefore they are not reading print books, but they are reading whatever they can get online, which means that you have less control over what they read. You can do only so much to promote reading, but you cannot tell how much they are reading. The good thing, of course, is that the older people, the senior citizens, the retired people, and so on, they are now flocking back into the libraries because they see the libraries as a good place to spend their time rather than whiling away their time at home. They love going to the library, and therefore the library's focus is also shifting towards helping senior citizens with activities. So that is the current situation and the challenge as it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prasad. I think that all the speakers have shared the situation in each country, so can understand the big picture, what happened in each country. But moving towards the ASEAN community that's going to happen in the next 3 years, I think that reading and book is one of the tools to make the understanding with among the ASEAN members and to make the ASEAN community to be successful in the future. But I think that it seems to be that history or legacy in the past seem to be obstacle to make understanding among the ASEAN members. How do you think about this, and then how are we going to get rid of that barriers, Dr. Thant?
Yes, this is, we are going into the ASEAN community in 2015, so we have to prepare for that. But there are obstacles. So one of the obstacles you can say is this language barrier, because every country has a different language. Of course, war or history. History is a good way of learning, but every country, we and Thai, we have a lot of problems, old days, but this is in the history, We do not have to elaborate these things nowadays. And plus, we can find a common ground, how we can improve based on these common problems, Because we have all the common problems. We have seen then all the mistakes. So based on that, based on this history, how we can improve on these, overcome these obstacles. I hope we can find a way to improve and to become an ASEAN community, I think.
I think that learning history is really, really important. We should not forget it, but we should not repeat it again.
Correct.
And,
That's correct.
With what have we done wrong in the past? Maybe Mr. Kall can share with us with this topic also, because during in the past, Thailand and Cambodia also have the conflict between two countries, and also history is playing a very important role in that.
I think you just mentioned is right to say, history, it is something which is for us to learn, but not to replicate it. History is something which is we learn, and then how to improve it, how to avoid it, how to repeating the same things. So far, I haven't seen this kind of things, which is take into practice. Although we're saying learning is based on your experience, learning is based on the history, but in fact, the problems we have today, it's still we want to replicate it, what is we have in our history. Instead of learning to improve, we want to bring it and then replicate it for the young generation. And for these reasons, that's why I was thinking, it's not because we are working in education. It's not because we are here, we are love reading, and then we're trying to sell reading. It's not. But I think the thing is here, I haven't seen any better way of avoiding this misunderstanding and improving the situation besides promote culture of reading, trying to make sure we all understanding the differences. How do we work together to avoid this kind of mistake? We haven't, the problem is like our speaker this morning was saying, especially Dr. Anwara Prasad is mentioned. You read, and then it brings you to better understanding. When you better understanding, you know how to solve this problem in a better manner. And I think this is the way where we can bring the gap within ASEAN community. Of course, we have different culture. We have, although sometimes we have a commons, but we have different way of understanding. And I think to reduce the gaps, reading is a means. I would say reading is a means to tackle with this kind of problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kall. And Dr. Waraprasad, you have any comment on this?
Yes, I find it very interesting and very strange that people from afar, like United States or Britain, Canada or Europe, they don't see much difference between the ASEAN countries. in the sense that they don't know the difference between Cambodia or Myanmar or Laos or Vietnam. They may not know the difference between Indonesia or Philippines. But here, they look at us as all the same. But in ASEAN itself, we seem to focus a lot on the differences. So I think that what we ought to do is not to focus on our differences, but to focus on our common value system. I do think that within Southeast Asia, a lot of us have very common ideas about life, about relationships, about our culture. Our heritage is very similar. Our values about our parents, our grandparents, our family is very similar. Although our histories might be different. For example, we all have a different colonial history. Indonesia was colonized by the Dutch, Myanmar, Singapore, Malaysia by the British, Cambodia, Vietnam by the French, and so on and so forth. So, although in that sense our colonial masters might be different, the struggle for freedom from colonialism is the same. So we can draw lessons from our commonality. And I think that many of our young people are looking at the outside world as examples, but they should look at within ASEAN for examples. And it is really for us to provide them with the good examples of commonality. So I think if we look for common values, common heritage, common educational systems, we can write stories for each other. So I think I totally agree that reading about each other is the best way to go. Reading about our various cultures, our various values, our common spirit, our common struggles will be very useful.
Thank you. Ms. Nellie, you have any comment on this?
Yeah, maybe I just add on to what my colleagues have said. I think I agree to it with Dr. Prasad and also my other two colleagues. I think we have. I think it has been said again and again that we have to understand ASEAN. We are all one community, ASEAN, and yet, as we said just now, we seem to focus on our differences. So I still feel like what I said yesterday. I think we should bring ASEAN into our universities and our schools through books and through reading. This is why, for example, like Malaysia, I know they are rewriting the heroes, for example, the national heroes, in a style that is suitable for young people. So maybe this is something that we can do so that, our young people can understand ASEAN very well. And then, of course, when they progress into university, then again, we bring the ASEAN subject matter into the curriculum. So everybody knows about ASEAN so well. After all, we are all under the same roof, ASEAN as a community. And then also